All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Erie County Board of Elections to order at 3:34 p.m. At this meeting, we elect officers, and that's the reason why I'm acting as chair temporarily today. We're going to begin with a roll call. Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Mrs. Clear,
Here.
Mr. Horton, Mr. Rastatter, Mrs. Showerman,
Here.
Mr. Shank,
Here.
Mrs. Rennie.
Here.
Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Anyone from the public?
I'm from the public, but I'm just listening. That's all today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to look again. I don't think there are any hands raised. All right, once, twice, three times. All right, thank you. As I said, the purpose of this meeting is to elect officers. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for a nomination for chair of the election board for 2021. Do I have a nomination?
Mr. Chairman Smith, I would like to nominate Mary Rennie to be chairman of the election board.
Mrs. Clear nominates Mary Rennie. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Shank.
There's
On the
Mr. Rex.
motion to elect Mrs. Rennie as chair of the Erie County Election Board for 2021, Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Horton. That was a yes, I believe. Mr. Rastatter, he's not with us yet, I take
No,
it.
he's on now.
Mr. Rastatter, are you?
Yes.
So we're going to give you yes for the roll and yes for the motion.
Absolutely.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie.
Yes.
I'm glad you didn't vote no, Ms. Rennie. Well, at this point, I hand over the gavel to Mrs. Rennie to handle the nominations for vice chair of the board. I just want to take a quick moment to thank Mr. Anderson for his work on behalf of the board during 2020 as chair. You really exhibited some tremendous leadership, and I, for one, really appreciate it. And for that matter, all of you on the board were a great help to our election effort, and thank you. And now, Mrs. Rennie, it's your show.
Thank you. I will now open the door for nominations for the position of vice chair for the election board.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to put the name of Kim Clear in motion for a nomination for vice chair.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. Well, we have motion and a second. Doug, is this something that you need to do the roll call on?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, then, Mr. Smith, will you do the roll call?
Yes, on the nomination of Mrs. Clear for vice chair, Mrs. Clear,
Yes. Just kidding.
that was your only chance. Mr. Horton,
That was a joke. Sorry.
Mr. Rastatter,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Dramatic pause. Yes.
Attic.
Mr. Anderson,
She could have said no, but we would have outvoted her 6-1 anyway. So, yeah, yes.
and Chairwoman Rennie.
Yes. Thank you. We don't have too much left on the agenda. Comments from the new board chair. Obviously, I think, obvious to many of us, I would like to start off by thanking former Chairman Anderson for leading us through what was a very challenging year, 2020. Hard to say where 2021 will go, but of course, at least we don't have the presidential election to contend with. I would like to say that when the four of us took our seats on council a year ago, the election code had just been revised. Act 77 had been signed into law, which meant quite a few changes. And at the time, I thought to myself, whew, we really dodged one. And then, of course, Murphy's Law kicked into effect. What could possibly go wrong? Well, what can go wrong will go wrong. And so it was a very challenging election season, well, year really, 2020. And it's been trial by fire for us and for this bipartisan bill that passed the Pennsylvania legislature. As an election board, we don't deal with questions of what should be, and I think that's fortunate. We deal with what is the law. And that is something that I have been very proud of over the past year, the year previous, is the fact that we carried out our duties of overseeing the election staff and the process to see that it was done right, or as close as humanly possible. And to do so in a nonpartisan manner and with integrity, and I'll use this word, fidelity. We did it with fidelity to the process and to democracy. I'm so proud of all of us, but maybe even more so for our clerk of elections and our elections supervisor and all of the staff in the elections office. And I will say this too, I'm proud of all of the watchers from the various campaigns and the parties who brought in that additional layer of integrity to the process. They were our checks and balances. And I feel that we stepped up very well, all of us, to do our jobs. I think the elections process is one of the most patriotic things that we will ever do as citizens. And I'm honored to be in this particular position at this time. I will do my best. Thank you. And I would like to open the floor for questions or comments from other board members.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Chairman, Councilman Anderson.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say that I was honored to represent the county as the chairman of the election board. I was equally honored to represent all of you as my colleagues and to serve on the board with you. As Mary stated, we worked in unity, we worked with fidelity, and we accomplished what we needed to do on behalf of the citizens of Erie County. But most importantly, I was honored to work with the staff that we have, starting right with our clerk, Doug Smith, and Tanya Fernandez as the supervisor, and all the way down to even the newest members of the voter registration office. Never have I seen more of a dedicated group of people enthusiastically engaging in their job, but doing it with the love for the community. So my hat's off to them, and to you, Mary. You inherit that work ethic with them, and I think they will serve you well as your chairmanship. And I was honored to have you as my vice chair last year. You and I worked hand in hand and seamlessly together. I have all the confidence in the world of your leadership as the chairman of the election board, working in a bipartisan fashion. And as you said, for the benefit of the community, I know this community will be served well by you and with you. And I congratulate you on your election. And the same to your Vice Chairwoman, Kim Clear. I know her talents and energy and commitment to Erie County and our community. So I see this year as a leap forward in past years, and certainly one that will benefit the community for the community's sake and for all the right reasons. So I was honored to serve in my capacity, and I congratulate the two of you on your election and look forward to your year as serving on the election board. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chairwoman? May I-
Yes,
may I
Vice
have-
Chair. Absolutely. Thank you.
I just want to thank, first of all, last year's leadership, Chairman Anderson, or previous Chairman Anderson, and previous Vice Chairwoman Rennie. I looked on from afar. I felt like you guys were in the what is that, the fishbowl room, and I just watched you the whole time, all year long, tackle one thing after another, after another, after another. And I can't even imagine what you guys went through last year. And I thank you all for that. Doug Smith, I have the utmost respect for you and confidence in you. And I always have, and I always will. You lead a great team, and we are so lucky to have all of you. And I know everyone's already said all this. I don't want to just repeat it, but I want everyone to know that ditto on what everybody else has said. Okay, so thank you. And Councilwoman, or I'm sorry, Chairwoman Rennie, I hope to be a help and a minion and whatever else you need me to be. And I will be right by your side. Thank you. I yield my time.
Very much appreciated. Councilman Shank?
Thank you. This has been a journey for all of us with the new Act 77, 4 brand new council persons online. And I got to tell you, when I say mentor, and I do mean mentor with Carl, because I got to tell you, I walked in there on election day and I'm like, what's a fishbowl? I mean, that's how much we didn't know. I mean, everyone's talking about a fishbowl. I thought we had a nice, cool tank somewhere to go feed the fish. But I'm like, they're like, no, Brian, this is the fishbowl. So, again, when I say mentor and I say thank you, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, Carl. I mean, I didn't even know what a fishbowl is. Now I talk like it's like I run the place. But we had a great team. We had to do everything from Carl standing shoulder to shoulder, ripping envelopes open on the primary, to the general. We were walking ballots back and forth to the fishbowl. So it's been a great journey, and I've learned a lot. And it's not just from Mary or Nicole or Ellen. It was the whole team. And who are these people sitting outside the fishbowl? Why are they here? I mean, those are things that there's no manual, there's no book. I can't Google it. It's you have to actually experience it. Someone has to show it to you. And once you have seen it, you get it. So again, thank you to the entire team for making sure that we did this year well, and we did it professionally, and it was tough. And trust me, this was a tough one. I yield back. Thank you.
Very good. Is there anyone else who would like to offer a question, comment? Councilwoman Showerman?
I'll just be real brief. I think that you, Mary, and Kim are both going to do a great job this year, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Oh,
Yes, Mr. Smith?
I can yield to a member if that's the case. I thought I heard maybe Mr.
Yeah.
Rastatter.
well, I was yielding to you, Doug, but I just want to congratulate Mary and Kim and wish them the best. I'm sure they'll do a great job, and look forward to working with them the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to bring the board up to speed on the issue of a risk limiting audit for Erie County. if now is an appropriate time.
Everybody open to that? Yes. Okay. Yes, please go ahead.
So some of you might recall there was some emails back and forth. A risk limiting audit, if you haven't heard of it, is a practice that states who typically have mail-in elections utilize after the election. Statistical formulas used to select a certain number of ballots that are then checked by hand to see if their accuracy coincides with what the scanner has produced. And so the state of Pennsylvania intends to start those next year. Well, I'm sorry, this year. So during 2020, they did a pilot program. And initially, I have to say, I resisted the idea of doing one for November. It appeared it was going to take about 40 hours of staff time, having the entire bureau working. And this was, they were first asking for it just after the Christmas holiday, which was not a practical time. But there apparently been some conversations from the Secretary of State. Mr. Anderson would relate those, I'm sure. But the bottom line was that after some consideration, not only for the audit being something that those who perhaps doubt the election outcome could look at as a way for them to perhaps feel more accepting of the outcome, but also legislatively, both houses, both parts of the assembly have some interest in audits being done because of all the controversy surrounding the outcome in Pennsylvania. So better and cooler heads prevailed than mine. And so we are going forward with the risk limiting audit. Timing really worked out very well. The state notified me yesterday that a team of individuals that's been going around the state helping counties would be available to Erie County on Saturdays. So we've arranged for about 5 staff members, and they have 5 people. They're bringing scales. It's kind of an interesting process by which you put a stack of ballots on a scale, and determining what one weighs, you use that to pull number 700 out of a stack of 1,000, for instance. So it's an interesting process. And so we think we're going to be able to knock out that audit Saturday, which will certainly be a relief to me and I think to the staff, rather than have it go on for potentially several weeks. So that's where that is. And I think overall, that is a plus for Erie County that we're participating. And should any questions come up, as you know, there are going to be hearings going on probably throughout the year in regards to elections. And that leaves Erie in a good spot, I believe, as far as having participated. Thank you.
I agree with you, Mr. Smith, and I actually shared your opinions early on as well. Councilman Anderson, I know you have been in touch with different people in Harrisburg, including Pennsylvania Secretary. Do you wish to offer any comments about this at this point?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, as my last act as the chair of the election board, I gave everybody some more work to do. So, and then I turned it over to you guys. But no, at any rate, I want to thank both you and Doug as we worked with the Secretary Bookvar. We were able to negotiate with them and take them up on their offer to provide equipment for us that would make this much more efficient and cost effective for Erie County. They are sending us a scale to help electronically speed things up, as well as Doug suggested, the staff. And we do have some funds available left in the electronic security portion of the grant that we received to take care of the overtime. So not only will this benefit Erie County in the long run in our participation, but we figured out a way to do it very cost efficiently for the election board and for the taxpayers of Erie County. So, I applaud once again the staff for that. And as Doug suggested, because of the scrutiny of this election, and certainly we know the unity that's occurred in Erie County, but it's not the same in other parts of the state. So it was critical for them to have Erie County participate and our willingness to do that. So, the Secretary of State is very, very appreciative of Erie County's efforts in doing this. And may I just suggest, Madam Chair, that we may want to have, a couple members of the election board at least, at the audit or popping in and out of the audit just to show our, presence there. And I know that Board Member Horton had suggested his interest, and I would be as well in doing that, and maybe others. But anyway, that will be this Saturday, and I think we will do it with efficiency again, and thank the staff and the board for their involvement. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Certainly. Mr. Smith, do you have a start time for Saturday?
Madam Chair, start time will be 9 a.m. at the warehouse on West 12th Street. I can provide that address to all after the meeting and send out an email as well, of course.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else on the board who has any questions or comments about the risk limiting audit? Not seeing any hands. Is there anything else for the good of the order?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'll just say that we are working on a candidate packet that we're going to be posting online shortly, as well as putting together a Zoom candidate Q&A session. In the past, those have been in person, of course, but we're looking to do those through Zoom, probably early February. The petitions begin the 16th of February and run through March the 9th. So we have historically done a primer of sorts, mostly for new candidates. So that will continue, but in a Zoom format. But we're already getting a lot of inquiries, and so local election season is an animal of its own, and we expect another busy year.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, seeing no more comments. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right, this meeting is adjourned, and we will be moving very shortly into finance. Nicole, do we stay on this line, I assume? Okay, thank you.